Hello, good morning. Welcome to our webinar today on what is the future of hydrocolloids in bakery. Today, we'll be exploring consumer perceptions and clean label market opportunities within the bakery category. I'm Martha, part of the marketing team at Ulrick and Short. I'm joined today with Kate Lefroy, who is part of our ingredients innovation function, and James Ambler, who is our field support for Scotland. We're all very excited to be here today as we've recently just launched a brand new range of ingredients designed as functional clean label hydrocolloids. Over the next 30 minutes, we're going to delve into looking at how hydrocolloids are used within the food industry, consumer perceptions around these, and trends that are driving a new development direction. Kate will then explore why these ingredients are used, why they're so functional, and the challenges faced when looking to replace gums. Finally, James will take us through a case study of replacing psyllium husk in gluten-free bread, which utilises the first ingredient in our new range. So just a couple of points before we kick off. Feel free to pop any questions, comments, queries in the Q&A box on Teams. We have turned the chat function off, so please pop any comments in that Q&A box. You'll also all be receiving a recording later on today, so you can watch this back, send it around any colleagues you think it's relevant for, and that email will also include some additional resources and recipes. We'll also be making this webinar as interactive as possible, so we'll have some QR codes for you to scan, so feel free to get involved. So let's set the scene by talking about hydrocolloid usage. Hydrocolloids are widely used in many food products, such as sauces and dressings, dairy products, beverages, baked goods, and that's because they have the ability to modify textures and provide stability. In bread launches alone, 98% of them across West Europe contain additives, and guar gum, for example, is used in 10% of these launches for its ability to enhance shelf life and texture. Hydrocolloids are highly functional ingredients, and Kate will talk about this in more detail shortly. However, many of them do carry an E number. The E number means the additive present has been assessed and accepted as safe across the EU. But a challenge facing the industry is that more and more consumers are becoming conscious of these additives, perceiving them to be unnatural. Often, we see a higher usage of additives amongst gluten-free bread because the functionality must be replicated to meet demands for taste and texture expectations. The use of food additives and hydrocolloids is a current topic of controversy. We're seeing multiple challenges directing a new development direction. So let's delve into each one. The first challenge that we're seeing is around consumer perceptions of these ingredients. I alluded to this earlier around the perception of E numbers. Consumers are becoming more conscious around ingredients used. They're looking at ingredient declarations more and more, with nearly 3 in 4 consumers saying they always check ingredient lists and look to avoid artificial ingredients. Names like xanthan gum, psyllium husk, guar gum, or even using that E number on the back of pack is not very consumer friendly. Often the consumer doesn't know what these ingredients are, why they're there, what they're being used for, and so consumers are now challenging the usage of these ingredients. A recent survey by Innova Market Insights found ingredients such as starches and pectins to be more accepted by consumers as these ingredient names are more recognisable and more understandable. So this is really leading to a push towards cleaner back of pack declarations. Consumers are looking for more products that are free from ingredients perceived as bad, with 66% of them finding natural claims appealing within the bakery sector. This attentiveness to ingredient listings is driving demand for streamlined ingredients, and it's influencing perceptions of value, quality, and health. The second challenge that the market faces is a growing body of scientific research around these food additives, linking them to a whole host of health issues. I mentioned before how an ingredient carrying an E number means that it's been deemed safe for consumption in the EU. However, we have seen ingredients before that have been deemed safe to later being banned after more research has shown adverse effects. And a good example of that would be titanium dioxide. One of the first, most comprehensive studies is the recent British Medical Journal, which links ultra-processed foods, i.e. foods containing ingredients not typically found in a store cupboard at home, and uses additives like emulsifiers, gums, preservatives, etc. And it's linked these ultra-processed foods to adverse health effects. Another recent study is by The Lancet, which looks at emulsifiers' effect on type 2 diabetes across French consumers, and they concluded a direct association between type 2 diabetes and exposure to various food additives. This science is relatively new, and the debate is an ongoing one. We're still not clear on the exact reasons as to why these associations are occurring. Is it because typically these ultra-processed foods have a tendency to be higher in fat, sugar, salt? Is it the processing techniques, or is it the additives themselves? This is a topic of controversy, but it's important to be aware of the science coming out and the potential impact that this could have on additives within the future. If you are interested in learning more about the ultra-processed food debate, then you can watch our previous live panel where we discuss this in depth. So feel free to get in contact with us and we can send you the recording. A third challenge that we're seeing is around supply chain issues. Emerging research suggests that the worldwide hydrocolloid market is growing around 5% each year. Hydrocolloids are used across many food products, so when supply chain issues hit the hydrocolloid market, this affects many food manufacturers. As modern processing techniques have evolved and we've discovered the functionality of these gums, the demand for them from manufacturers has increased at such a rate that producers and suppliers are struggling to keep up. A prime example of this would be locust bean gum, often used as a stabilizer, thickener, and fat replacer in products. This immense functionality has caused a shortage in the market, as the locust bean tree takes around 10 to 15 years to grow. This has then caused a knock-on effect of price inflation as the ingredient is in short supply. Manufacturers may look at alternatives such as taro gum, as it has similar functionality, but the annual harvest of this is only a third of the size of locust bean gum, so still the supply can't fulfill the demand. These challenges are leading towards a new development direction within the category, and key priorities for consumers are more consumer-friendly declarations using store-covered ingredients. There's also an emphasis on locality and sustainability through shorter supply chains and locally produced European-sourced products, and that's both from a sustainability point of view and the view of safety. Consumers are also looking for the avoidance of bad ingredients, and not just from the perspective of fats, sugars, salts, but they're also looking for more natural products and looking to avoid artificial ingredients. So we're seeing naturalness define the next development direction, and consumers equate this to being better for them, but also being better for the environment. So I'm now going to hand you over to Kate, who's going to speak you through the functionality and challenges of some popular hydrocolloids.
Thank you, Martha, for providing those really valuable insights into some of the current consumer perceptions around additives and hydrocolloids in food. Good morning, everyone. My name is Kate, and I work in the product innovation function at Ulrick & Short. As part of my role, I look to source new clean label alternatives to ingredients that carry an E number or have undergone some kind of chemical modification. So let's begin by defining what a food additive actually is. So an additive is a class of ingredients that usually is added to a food formulation for a specific reason. And these are normally categorized based on the specific function that they bring. For example, a stabilizer might be added into a food to provide structure to the matrix, or an emulsifier might be added to prevent oil and water separating out. The word additive often carries quite a negative perception, and as Martha has alluded to, can point towards ultra processing or the presence of chemical modification. Words like whole or natural are often more appealing to consumers. Many food additives are also hydrocolloids, again, a word that Martha has used quite a lot in the introduction. The root of the word hydro means that the ingredient is dispersible in water, whilst the word colloid means that it has an ability to form a suspension. So a hydrocolloid is not truly soluble in water, but will interact with water. And this means that hydrocolloids tend to have very high water binding capabilities. As a result, many hydrocolloids can be used to provide long-term stability, to add viscosity, to modify the rheology of things like sauces, batters, and doughs. So let's take a bit of a closer look at 3 hydrocolloids in particular that are used extensively across the food industry. Let's start with psyllium husk, which is an ingredient that's mainly made up of soluble fibre. It's extracted from blackthorn grass, and it's made up of the polysaccharide group arabinoxylans, which are responsible for providing structure in plant cell walls. Psyllium husk has a very high water binding capacity, and this is in part due to the branching of the arabinoxylans, which can mimic some of the properties of gluten, providing elasticity, water binding, but also helping to support aeration. As a result, psyllium husk has become a key structural ingredient for gluten-free applications and is commonly used in baked applications to mimic gluten and also to achieve sensorial and textural properties that are very similar to gluten-containing counterparts. Despite its excellent functionality, there are some challenges associated with psyllium husk, and it has been in and out of the spotlight in recent years. In part, this is due to concerns around pesticide contaminants, but also sourcing and traceability problems, as well as quality issues. Variation between batches and grades of psyllium husk has led manufacturers to having to adapt their processing methods as well as their formulations. For example, different grades of psyllium husk can result in differences in application. For example, you might see a weak crumb structure over life in gluten-free bread. The next ingredient that we're going to take a closer look at is guar gum, and this carries the E number E412. Like psyllium, it's extracted from the seed endosperm and also contains a type of polysaccharide called galactomannins, which also have very high water binding capability. Guar gum is from the same family as locust bean gum, an ingredient that Martha referred to in her introduction, which has had some supply chain issues in recent years. And as a result, many manufacturers have looked to replace locust bean gum with guar gum, which can be used as an alternative. Guar gum finds functionality in large particle stabilization and has some other properties that are similar to psyllium husk, but is more commonly used in cold and chilled products, such as pastry fillings and creams. So why is guar gum also so difficult to replace? Well, guar has excellent water solubility, particularly at high temperatures, and it also requires very low inclusion rates to achieve excellent functionality. So typically it would be included at a dosage of 0.5 to 2% in a food formulation, which is lower than psyllium husk. However, compared to psyllium husk, it is lower in soluble fibre, and it also carries that E number, which can be particularly a problem in gluten-free applications, where already long ingredient lists can be off-putting to consumers. Finally, let's look at xanthan gum, which is a good example of a hydrocolloid which possesses surface activity. Surface activity is a property that can exist naturally in an ingredient or due to chemical modification, and this means that the ingredient will have hydrophilic and hydrophobic regions. The hydrophilic regions are attracted to water, whilst the hydrophobic regions are attracted to oil or lipid or air. This means that the ingredients are attracted to an interface, and they're able to stabilize oil-water systems, also known as emulsions, but also air and water systems or foams. This property is really important across lots of application sectors, including sauces, ice creams, cheese, milks, and fizzy drinks. An example of a hydrocolloid with surface activity is xanthan gum, which is required at very low inclusions and can provide excellent thickening, stabilizing, and emulsifying properties. Xanthan gum also has some synergism with starches, which means that it can be really excellent for batter and dough aeration, also can help to increase volume in baked goods, but can also help to stabilize air pockets. So some of those functionalities are quite similar to egg whites. And as a result, food manufacturers will often take out egg whites and replace it with xanthan gum. We also see xanthan gum included in quite a lot of flour blends, especially for gluten-free applications, where it can help to provide thickening and elasticity. Although it's readily available in supermarkets, xanthan gum is not strictly defined as store covered and does carry that E number E415. Having said that, xanthan is very challenging to replace and requires very low inclusion rates, similar to guar gum. It's also very unique due to its neutral colour and flavour, which means that it can be used across a range of applications with minimal impact on the final food. However, xanthan is somewhat less natural than other soluble fibre options, and it is derived from a sticky coating which is produced by bacteria. It then undergoes chemical solvent extraction to be isolated, and recent studies on the effect of xanthan on the gut microbiome are concerning to consumers, who are now looking to replace it in their formulations. I'll now hand you over to James, who's going to speak in more depth about our newly launched virtura range and how we can replace some of these functionalities of hydrocolloids with clean label options.
Thanks, Martha and Kate, for those insights into the current state of hydrocolloids. My name is James, and I'll be introducing you to the newest Ulrick short range, virtura, which aims to solve some of the challenges laid out earlier in the presentation and move you towards a more clean label solution. But firstly, what does clean label mean to us? Well, it is inherently in our DNA. Clean label is intrinsic to every product we develop. Our focus is on improving labelling transparency and meeting the demands of consumers, manufacturers, and retailers, while committing to making food products better for our health and more sustainable. We use our clean label processing methods to extract and enhance the natural functionality of a range of base crops. This functionality ranges from improving product quality through adjusting texture, succulence, and creaminess, to improving the nutritional profile of foods through fat and sugar reduction or with the addition of protein and fibre, to supporting reformulation to accommodate special diets through gluten mitigation or egg removal. To help you get the most from our portfolio of ingredients, there are a number of ways we can offer support. For example, my role is field support covering Scotland. I would always be available to help with any problems, either remotely over phone or email, or in person during test kitchen development or at factory trials. We pride ourselves on the kitchen facilities at our UK and European offices, and the teams based there have a wealth of technical knowledge from a range of disciplines and backgrounds to draw upon. The newest tool in our kit is the virtura range. Virtura is our range of clean label texturisers. So what does this mean? Well, virtura is designed to replace the functionality of gums and other hydrocolloids while retaining a consumer-friendly ingredient declaration. Virtura emulates the properties of ingredients such as xanthan gum by providing volume, viscosity, and emulsification, making it ideal for use in a range of applications, including dressings, ready meals, bakery, gluten-free bread, and marinades. So now let's look at how the first entry in our new range and how we have been using it to improve gluten-free bread. The name of our new ingredient is virtura AU. It is declared as golden linseed and tapioca starch. The product combines nutritional benefits with excellent functionalities like emulsification, water binding, and shelf life extension. And this particular product has a low particle size, which allows it to be used in lots of applications without giving any grainy or gritty texture. Psyllium husk is a hydrocolloid commonly used within gluten-free bakery for its water retention and gel-forming properties. However, as many people who have had to procure it industrially will attest, psyllium husk can come with a set of challenges. There can be broad variability of particle size between crops, which can lead to inconsistent water binding between batches, and there have historically been issues with consistency of supply, fluctuations in price, and pesticide levels. With this in mind, it is understandable that manufacturers would be looking to move away from using psyllium husk in their formulations. Unlike some of the ingredients we are seeking to replace, which have little in the way of scientific research to support any health claims due to their chemically modified nature, virtura AU is a natural product from a proven source. As early as the 5th century BC, the father of medicine, Hippocrates, was touting the benefits of linseeds for the relief of abdominal pains. In fact, many of the health benefits of linseed stem from the same properties that make it useful as a functional food ingredient. Linseed is a source of a type of fibre called mucilage, which binds with moisture during consumption, forming a gel which slows down the digestion process, promoting a feeling of fullness and helping to control appetite. This can aid in weight management and help maintain stable blood sugar levels. Additionally, the gel acts as a lubricant in the intestines, facilitating regularity and preventing constipation. Furthermore, the mucilage has prebiotic effects. The gel formed in the gut provides a food source for beneficial gut bacteria, which play a role in maintaining a healthy gut microbiome. A healthy gut microbiome is essential for overall health, including immune function and mental well-being. So, not only is linseed a store-covered ingredient and well accepted amongst consumers, but it is also extremely versatile with unique functionalities. Virtura AU is derived from a side stream process from the residual press cake left over from European linseed oil production, minimizing waste and offering a highly sustainable option for manufacturers. Virtura AU's properties make it useful in a range of applications, the full extent of which we are still exploring. One area it is shown to be effective in is replacing psyllium husk in gluten-free bread. If you would like to scan the QR code that will be on screen for the next few slides, you'll be taken to a copy of our gluten-free bread recipe using virtura AU. Unlike some other hydrocolloids we have heard about in this presentation, which are derived through chemical processes, virtura AU is a natural, recognizable ingredient which has been gently processed through physical extraction methods to enhance natural functionality and retain the positive nutritional benefits. The mucilage fibre from the linseed is a type of soluble fibre that forms a gel when dispersed in water. In gluten-free bread, this cold gelling capability is invaluable to tailor and refine dough rheology. In the absence of gluten to regulate the stickiness, cohesion, and free moisture, using virtura AU can help with processability of the dough, allowing it to be cut, shaped, and deposited with greater ease. During baking, virtura AU helps to improve the spring and lift of the loaf, and the bound water helps to keep the bread softer for longer. Virtura isn't the only ingredient we've used to improve the quality of our gluten-free bread recipe. Synergy L526P has been included in the recipe as well. This is a potato starch which activates when the dough is baked. It helps to regulate the rise and control the texture of the dough in the oven, providing structure and softness. Synergy Lixivia has been added to the recipe also. It is declared as tapioca starch and can help with improving the texture of the baked crumb. Gluten-free bread can often suffer from dryness over life. Synergy Lixivia can be used to help solve this by keeping the bread softer and more tender. It also helps to add structure and a toothsome bite to the product. Synergy Carnival is another tapioca starch that has benefits in gluten-free recipes. It can help to provide lift during baking, a function that would typically be provided by the gluten in standard wheat-based recipes. Fazenda Nutrigel is declared as rice flour. It activates in the cold dough during the mixing stage and provides viscosity and reduces stickiness. This makes the dough easier to handle, shape, and process. It also binds moisture in the cooked loaf, helping to improve the texture over life. Fazenda Canto is heat-activated chickpea flour that helps improve rise and lift in a baking loaf. It also helps to set the crumb and make the baked bread firmer, making it easier to slice and spread toppings onto. Finally, Cilia BF90 is a bamboo fibre. It is an insoluble fibre which binds moisture in the cold mix, helping control texture and stickiness. In the cooked loaf, it contributes to an open, fluffy texture. I'll now hand you back over to Martha, who will close us out.
Thank you, Kate and James, for those really valuable insights on hydrocolloids and the practical solution of replacing psyllium husk in gluten-free bread. And thank you all for joining us today. We hope that you've enjoyed this webinar and found it useful. If you have got any further questions or comments or would like to receive any samples of Virtura AU, then feel free to get in contact with us, either through the contact details on screen now or through that Q&A box. As mentioned at the beginning, you will all be receiving a recording later on today of this webinar, so feel free to watch it back or send it around anyone that you think it's relevant for. Thanks again for joining us, and we hope to see you on our next webinar.